People think power belongs to the loudest person in the room, the one who argues the hardest, explains every decision, or always has the perfect comeback. But if you study history, psychology, and the behavior of highly respected people, you'll notice something completely different. The people who are the hardest to manipulate are usually the ones who react the least. They don't rush to defend themselves. They don't waste energy trying to convince everyone they're right, and they certainly don't chase people who have already decided to misunderstand them. Why? Because they understand one uncomfortable truth. Every emotional reaction is information. The moment you become angry, defensive, desperate, or overly eager to explain yourself, you're revealing exactly where your emotional buttons are. And once someone knows where those buttons are, they can press them whenever they want. Dark psychology isn't always about manipulation. Sometimes it's about recognizing manipulation before it controls you. It's about understanding how emotionally intelligent people protect themselves in a world where attention is treated like currency. Today, you'll discover 7 psychological principles that make you incredibly difficult to manipulate. These aren't tricks to control other people. They're habits that help you control yourself. Because the person who controls their emotions eventually controls their life, the first principle is perhaps the most powerful. Never react immediately. Most people live on emotional autopilot. Someone criticizes them. They defend themselves, someone insults them. They fight back, someone ignores them. They panic. Everything happens automatically, almost like a machine. But psychologically strong people interrupt that cycle. They create space between what happens and how they respond. That small pause changes everything. Neuroscience tells us that emotional reactions often come from the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for survival instincts. When someone attacks your ego, your brain often treats it like physical danger. That's why your heart races, your voice changes, your thoughts become chaotic, and you suddenly feel the need to say something, anything, just to relieve the emotional pressure. But here's the hidden trap. The first response your emotions want to make is rarely your strongest response. Manipulative people know this. Some intentionally provoke you because emotional people make predictable decisions. The angry employee sends the email they'll regret. The jealous partner says words they can't take back. The insecure person reveals every fear while trying to defend themselves. And the manipulator quietly collects information. The strongest move is often silence. Not because you're weak, but because you're refusing to let someone else control your emotional state. Imagine 2 people arguing. One keeps shouting, interrupting, explaining every detail. The other simply listens, calm, relaxed, almost expressionless. Who appears stronger? Most people instinctively respect the calmer person because emotional control signals confidence. The loudest person often looks like they're losing control. Silence isn't empty. Silence creates uncertainty. And uncertainty shifts psychological power. The second principle is even harder. Never explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Human beings crave validation. We want people to understand our intentions. We want fairness. We want others to see the real us. Unfortunately, not everyone wants the truth. Some people simply want control. If they can keep you explaining yourself, apologizing repeatedly, or defending every action, they keep you emotionally invested. Think about how many hours people waste writing long messages trying to fix someone's opinion. Paragraph after paragraph, screenshot after screenshot, proof after proof, yet nothing changes. Why? Because the problem was never a lack of information. It was a lack of willingness. Psychologists call this confirmation bias. People often search for evidence that supports what they already believe. If someone has already decided you're selfish, every explanation becomes another sign that you're selfish. If they've already decided you're guilty, your defense sounds like an excuse. No amount of explaining changes a closed mind. In fact, excessive explaining often creates the opposite effect. It makes you appear uncertain. Think about truly confident people. Do they constantly justify every decision? Not really. They understand something simple. Your life is not a courtroom. Not every accusation deserves a defense. Sometimes the most confident sentence in the world is only 2 words. I understand. Not, let me explain. Not, that's not what I meant. Not, you don't understand. Just, I understand. Then move on. Because your peace is worth more than winning arguments you'll never win. The third principle sounds simple, but completely changes social dynamics. Craster the art of strategic indifference. Notice something interesting. People chase what moves away, not because humans enjoy suffering, but because uncertainty creates curiosity when someone becomes emotionally unavailable in a healthy way. Not playing games, but simply refusing to seek constant approval. They suddenly become harder to manipulate. This doesn't mean ignoring people you love. It means refusing to let every opinion control your emotional weather. Imagine posting something online. One stranger leaves a negative comment. Your entire day becomes about proving them wrong. Now that stranger controls your emotions. They invested 10 seconds. You invested 10 hours. Who really won? Strategic indifference means choosing where your emotional energy goes. It means understanding that attention is limited. Every minute spent arguing with negativity is a minute stolen from your goals, your relationships, and your peace of mind. The world's most emotionally resilient people don't ignore everything. They simply ignore what doesn't deserve access to their mind. That's real power. Because not every battle deserves a soldier. Sometimes walking away isn't avoidance, it's wisdom. And sometimes silence doesn't mean you have nothing to say. It means you've realized not everyone deserves to hear your voice. The next psychological principle becomes even darker, because it reveals why some people can read others like an open book while remaining impossible to read themselves. The fourth principle is this: reveal less than necessary. Most people talk because silence makes them uncomfortable. They fill every pause with stories, opinions, complaints, future plans, personal struggles, and private dreams. It feels harmless. In fact, it often feels like honesty. But psychology teaches something surprising. The more information you freely give away, the easier it becomes for someone to predict you. Every fear you confess, every insecurity you reveal, every weakness you casually mention can become emotional leverage in the hands of the wrong person. Manipulative people don't always ask direct questions. They simply listen. While everyone else is busy talking, they're quietly collecting data. Your triggers, your habits, your ambitions, your emotional patterns. Then, one day they use those details exactly when it benefits them. This is why emotionally intelligent people don't lie. They simply become selective. They understand that privacy is not secrecy. Privacy is protection. You don't need everyone to know your next move. You don't need approval before taking action. In fact, one of the strongest forms of confidence is working quietly until your results speak louder than your words. Think about the most successful people you've met. Many of them don't announce every goal. They don't constantly explain what they're building. They simply build it. And when success arrives, people call it unexpected. But it was only unexpected because they kept their focus private. Remember this: not everyone deserves unlimited access to your inner world. Protect your peace the same way you protect your money. Both are valuable. The fifth principle is one that instantly changes how people perceive you. Become comfortable with silence. Silence makes most people nervous. Watch 2 strangers sitting together. If nobody speaks for a few seconds, someone almost always rushes to fill the gap. Why? Because silence creates psychological pressure. And whoever breaks the silence first usually reveals more information. Negotiators know this. Interrogators know this. Experienced leaders know this. Silence is one of the most underrated forms of communication. Imagine someone insults you expecting an argument. Instead, you simply look at them calmly. No anger, no panic, no desperate explanation, just silence. Suddenly, the emotional pressure shifts. Now they're wondering, why didn't they react? Did that not affect them? What are they thinking? Silence forces people to confront themselves. Words often give away your emotions. Silence hides them. That doesn't mean becoming cold or emotionless. It means learning that not every moment requires a response. Sometimes your calm presence says more than 1,000 carefully chosen words. People often mistake silence for weakness. In reality, maintaining silence while controlling your emotions is one of the hardest skills a human being can master. Because anyone can shout, few can stay calm. The sixth principle is perhaps the most uncomfortable. Stop trying to be liked by everyone. This is one of the biggest emotional traps in modern life. Many people spend years trying to avoid criticism, trying to make everyone happy, trying to never disappoint anyone. But here's the reality. If everyone likes you, you're probably sacrificing yourself too often. Psychologically healthy people understand something simple. Respect lasts longer than approval. Approval changes every day. Respect is earned through consistency. The moment you stop chasing validation, something strange happens. You become more attractive, not because you're pretending to be mysterious, but because confidence replaces neediness. People naturally trust those who don't desperately seek acceptance. Imagine two people entering a room. The first constantly checks whether everyone likes them. They change their opinions, laugh at jokes they don't find funny, agree with everyone, avoid conflict at all costs. The second person is polite, respectful, patient, but completely comfortable disagreeing when necessary. Who seems more confident? Exactly. Confidence isn't loud. Confidence is stable. You don't need universal approval to live a meaningful life. Some people will misunderstand you. Some will criticize you. Some will dislike you for reasons that have nothing to do with you. Accepting that reality is emotional freedom. The final principle brings everything together. Narcissist emotional detachment. This doesn't mean becoming heartless. It doesn't mean stopping yourself from loving people. It means refusing to let every situation control your inner peace. Life constantly tests emotional stability. Someone rejects you. Someone betrays you. Someone spreads rumors. Someone underestimates you. Most people immediately react. But emotionally powerful people ask themselves one question. Will this matter a year from now? If the answer is no, why give it today's peace? Detachment is understanding that you cannot control people's opinions. You cannot control gossip. You cannot control betrayal. You cannot control every outcome. But you can always control your response. And that's where true power lives. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Real strength begins the moment you truly understand those words. The strongest people aren't those who never experience pain. They're the ones who refuse to let pain decide who they become. Remember, every unnecessary reaction gives someone else your energy. Every unnecessary explanation gives someone else your peace. Every unnecessary argument steals time you'll never get back. The people who intimidate others the most are rarely aggressive. They're composed, postulant, difficult to provoke, and impossible to manipulate because they understand one timeless truth. Not every message deserves a reply. Not every insult deserves a defense. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Sometimes the most powerful sentence you'll ever say is nothing at all. The next time someone tries to provoke you, pause. Smile, protect your peace, because silence is often louder than anger. And self-control is a language that everyone understands, even if nobody admits it. If you master these 7 principles, people won't remember you as the loudest person in the room. They'll remember you as the one they could never control. The greatest victory isn't proving other people wrong. It's becoming someone who no longer needs to.